Welcome to the first of a set of small video tutorials on how to use Inventor Professional 2018, which you will have downloaded from the Autodesk student community. When you first open up Inventor, you will see the screen will look like this. You won't have all these drawings down the bottom until you actually start doing some drawings. They will appear as icons here, or Inventor always works by giving you tabs for what you're doing down the bottom. So an IPT is a part and a DWG is the drawing of that part, and that part must always be saved before you can start a new drawing. To start with, you'll usually go up here and you'll go new, and you'll go to new part, and you'll get a screen that's like this with part on it. But in order to make it easy for you, if we come up to open, we'll get you to go along. And I've emailed you all or put it on the Google Classroom this standard metric part. And so if you open up that, when you open that, you'll get some settings that have already been set up for you, so that you don't have to worry about the part being in inches or in imperial or metric. So we'll just go ahead and make that full size, and then we'll start our first drawing. See now the drawing area that we use for Inventor. It's actually in 3D, as you can see from this icon. There's some navigation bars on the right here where you could, this one allows you to move about in 3D, free orbit. You'll see there's a nice help menu that comes up in Inventor if you hover over it. Pan is over here as well. They're the two that we'll probably use most over on this side. Up the top here we have all of the different tools that we can use. Mostly we'll start with a 2D sketch, and I'll explain why in a minute. We've got lots of quite complicated things here that the computer will do very simply for you. Plus we'll use this plane feature over here. You've got to remember that with Inventor that you need to draw a little bit differently to how you would draw in AutoCAD or by hand. We always start with a sketch. We start with a 2D sketch, and it puts us into this 3D space where we can choose whether we want to be in the vertical plane, either vertical planes, a horizontal plane. And so let's just save to start with. We'll draw in the horizontal plane. Once we click on that plane by hovering over it, it will tell us this error message, which is good because I've just made my first mistake. We need to save our drawing as another file because I've made the template. This standard drawing part is a template, so I'd go ahead and put the file in another location and call it my part 1, or whatever you would like to call it. Now we'll be able to go ahead and we'll be able to start our first sketch. Now the screen will jump us back now into a 2D version, and it gives us this center point, which is a known point in 3D space, and it's always advisable to start drawing from that space so that you know where to come back to. Let's just draw a rectangle to start with, and here's where Inventor is a little bit different to everything else. You don't worry about the size. You can see here all of the constraints, perpendicular, parallel here to a parallel. And then what you do is you put dimensions on these lines by simply clicking and dragging out. And once you put a dimension on, you get then to choose how big it is, and it will change the drawing. So the key point here with parametric drawing is to remember, let's make that one 8, and you'll watch the drawing change size. In normal drawing, the drawing is done before the dimension is added. In a parametric drawing situation like Inventor, you must always remember that the drawing is a sketch. It doesn't matter about the accuracy, that you then add dimensions and that these drive the drawing. So actually for this first drawing, I've made it 90 by 30, and I've used pan to pan the screen around here to get that in the center. So the next step, if you right click on things, you can always get this set of tools that you can use. And we can click OK to get rid of that. The next thing we want to do is we want to come up here to 3D model, and we want to extrude it. Now, this drawing has turned blue. You might have noticed that. That's because it's fully constrained. It starts from the point 0, 0, 0, and it has 2 dimensions on it, which means it's constrained. Once a drawing is constrained, it's considered a bounded area, so therefore we can extrude it. So if we click on this extrude button now, it will throw us back into 3D. We will zoom in and pan that around a little bit so that we can see it. It then gives us the option of going up or down, and you can change those. You can go either side of the line. We'll just go up, and we'll type in here, we're going to go up 90 millimeters in the case for this drawing, and we'll hit enter, and then that's done. So we can now pan that down a bit and we can see our drawing. Okay, so our first sketch started from our first 3D model, I should say, started from a sketch that was in the horizontal plane. And if I come back over here now, this is very important, this side section here, because it shows us what we've been doing, and it will follow all the way through. So following all the way through, if I click on this extrusion here, it'll highlight it, or just hover. If I click on the arrow, it shows me the sketch. So you can see here that my first original sketch, and the beauty and the power of Inventor is that I can always come back to that sketch and edit it, and it will edit the rest of the drawing for me. The next thing I need to do though is I want to put a sketch on this front face. So I need to go to a new sketch, click on this sketch button, and then I can hover around and I can decide where my sketch will go. So if I click on the front there, it will say, okay, you must want to put a sketch on that face. So I'll flick around and show you that front face. So now I want to draw a line from that corner there down to this corner using the little green snap. Okay, click it, and it will always want to draw another line. Click it again, and then click it again by using the little snaps, and you can see there when I hit enter or right click and OK, it actually now draws this in there. These two are green and this one is not. There's a button up here, if we hover over, which is automatic dimension and constraints. If I click that, it will give me and say 1 dimension is required in order to constrain this drawing completely. So I'm going to just accept that because that's what I want. And you'll see there that it puts in this angle, and then all of a sudden that's constrained. Once I'm done with that, I can now come back to my 3D model and I can choose the area. Now there's no other bounded area than this one, so the computer's chosen for me. And in this case, I don't want it to come out. I don't want it to go in. If I go in, and I can choose add or subtract. In this case, I want to add. I want it to add 30 millimeters, but I want it to come out. And that's how I want it to look, so I'm going to accept that it's okay. So you can now see that I've got a second extrusion over here. First extrusion with the first sketch, second extrusion with the second sketch. They're called 2 and 3, however. All right, so now we've got starting to get a relatively complex object going just by doing simple parts and sketches on faces.